वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। We're doing verse 2, right?
Actions binding man in the world.
Actions binding men in the world. Yeah. Is describing the samsara. It is described through this Ashwatha tree. We will see many like that in the chapter. The first presentation he is giving is through the tree. Then he subsequently would say how each one, this came from me, that came from me, that's one, that one, all this. So many things. Says the Ashwatha tree's branches spread below and above. Its branches. Its branches means the Ashwatha tree. Nourished by the gunas. From where they get the nourishment. A tree means it should get nourishment for it to survive. So the nourishment is from the gunas. With buds as sense objects. And roots stretch below as actions binding men in the world. This is the clue. Like in the last verse, Vedavit is the clue. Similarly here, it says the roots stretch below. The last words he said the roots above. Now he says the roots stretch below. What is that root? This root is the actions binding men in the world. Karmanubandhi. This bandha is created by these karmas. So we go to the chronology of action first. What is the chronology of action? Every action is preceded by a desire. Every desire preceded by thought. Every thought is preceded by vasana. So chronology of action is vasana, thought, desire, action. This is the chronology. So he says, actions binding men means the desires binding, the thoughts binding, the vasanas binding. So don't take literally action. So it's not just the action. It is. Why? So we ask this quick question first. Very preliminary analysis, very basic one is, why do you do action? What is the motivation for you to do action? What drives your action? Most of us will say what? I want something, sir. I want that. So I want to have a big house. The problem is what? My father is so useless. father-in-law is much more useless. At least if he is rich, he would have got. The father also didn't get. The house didn't get. Now what to do? So I have to work hard. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to save this money. I have to see where I can invest, where I can multiply, what sort of a thing to be done, and which bank will give me the least, home loan, where I can get the best deal. So many things I have to do. All this I'm doing why? Because I want to have a house. Otherwise, I don't have to do all this. You see, if I say I don't want a house, then all these things are not required. You see. So what is driving me? You say the house which I am going to get. Is it the house that you are asking for? No. You add something more to it. You add something more to it. This is what he says. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the story of bachelor boy. The story, bachelor boy. So they say, I want this. Okay. And they say, anything else you want? Nothing, sir. I just want to pass the exam. That's it. That's all you want? Yes, that's it. Pass the exam. Then what? No job. Because there was a time once in this country, in early, 80s, +2 means, on the காலத்து, SLC, you'll say, as though some PhD like. So all that you have to do is what? Just pass the 11th standard, you get a job. Then they said what? +2, 11th, oh, useless one. Do BCom and come back. Then it will BCom. And then the 90s is, BCom was the big thing, Then 2000, what is it? Engineering. You join engineering course, now you are settled. 2010, what happened? Engineering na waste, sir. You should have one MBA. At least one executive MBA. Weekend. Like you do Vedanta class. Like that you have to go, weekends you go to attend, the class. Whether you go or you don't go doesn't make any difference. You just have to go write the exam. Anybody who appears for exam will pass. That's the thing is. You write the exam, pass, get a certificate. MBA I have got. And then by 15 to 20, what has happened? Even MBA, everybody has got MBA. What do you need now? At least one PhD is needed. Minimum qualification is what? PhD. The end of 26 are coming, no? From 26 it will not be PhD. Minimum requirement will be what? You need a postdoc. By 35, you have Nobel Prize, then apply for a job. Otherwise, no. Everybody is getting now, Nobel Prize. This one you get is. Every time, they said, this is all. All that I want to do is what, sir? Pass the exam. Just passing the exam. No. Job. You just need a job. No. Marriage. You just need marriage. Child. You just want to, any child will do. No. The child has to be talking. And then talking sense. It just goes on and on and on. At every stage, we have this desire that we have is never fixed. You see, that's how bondage happens. If it is fixed, you will not have this bondage. I want this. That's it. Nothing more to add to it. Nothing beyond this. This is the capping. You'll say, no, no. Something gets added always. But, keep using, yeah, all that is correct. But all this is true. But God is there. But you have to be practical, no? What is driving your action? Think carefully. These are all theories. See, essentially, if you understand this, you can easily realize how actions are binding. We say, why we say actions are binding? Because if you say desire, immediately the person will ask, "Sir, is it wrong to desire? How can a man live without a desire? Is it ever possible?" So, in a way, we are speaking of something which is impossible to live. See, so there's no point in saying actions are driven by desire. That's a theorem, remember. But in reality, if you see, how does it work? What is the essential problem with the desire? Because we have very many things in the term desire. So many things we include in that. It's addition of so many things. So what we have to do is we change a little, change an important dimension of action, important dimension of desire. What is that? Because the moment we say desire is the root cause, we'll say, how can you live life without any desire? Because chronology is very clear, no? Wherever action, there is a desire. So, if you are not having any desire, means no cause, no effect. Because cause of action is desire, if you say, then no desire means no action. No thought is okay. I'm not thinking, that's okay. No desire, doesn't it imply no action? But is it possible to live without action? The same Gita Krishna said earlier. You can't remain without action even for a split second. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya akarma krita. So you can't live without action. But then he says actions are binding. So if you have to get out of bondage, what you need to do? Stop action. What action? All action. Because all actions are backed by desire then. So only thing you have to do is what? Simply sit. Problem is what? Even sitting is also action. Correct? What are you doing Sunday? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? You breathe is action. Your eating is action. Your talking is action. Then how can you live life? You see the confusion there. So we think the principle is wrong. See, the principle is not wrong. There is an important link is missed. If you add that link only, you will be able to recognize what is spoken of here. What is the link they give here? All the actions that you are doing is driven by a singular factor. That is, my mind is disturbed. By performing action, the disturbance of the mind subsides. That's all it is. So, what is the driving force for your actions? The restlessness of the mind is the cause of action. You see? Then you go to from where the restlessness comes. That's where desire comes. The presence of desire makes the mind restless. The restlessness we don't know how to deal with. The only way we know of how to deal with the restlessness is by action. So when you act, what happens to the restlessness? Temporarily that gets subsided. Once it gets subsided, you feel what? Then you do anything? After that, you don't do anything. The classic example we give is a man who picks up a cigarette and smokes. Why does he smoke? You can't say a thought of cigarette will trigger a person to smoke, because just now I said cigarette, all of you understood, which means all of you have the thought of cigarette, but you don't get that urge to pick up a cigarette and smoke. Even if you are a smoking person, every time the thought of cigarette comes, you don't pick up a cigarette and smoke, correct? The rule is what? Vasana will trigger a thought. So the thought comes from where, sir? From Vasana. Every time the thought of cigarette comes, do you smoke? No. Then when the thought of cigarette drives you to smoking, the act of smoking happens. Where the thought of cigarette starts creating a agitation. Mind gets agitated. Mind gets disturbed. When the mind gets disturbed, you do not know how to get that mind back to that state of restfulness. You can't say every thought that present in the mind is equals to restlessness. If that is the case, then everyone who gets the thought of cigarette should smoke. That's not what's happening. Even as the person who is smoking also should be smoking every time he gets a thought of cigarette. Which doesn't happen. This is a link. If this link is established, then it becomes very simple. Karma yoga, karmanyeva adhikaraste. Mapaleshu kadach. Don't worry about the fruit. You have no rights over the fruit. Why? Why he doesn't bother about the fruit of action? Because performance of action is the fruit. Remember, you are not performing action for the fruit, for the result. Expecting some result to come is what all of us think. We are doing action. Winning the gold medal is what is driving me, is what we think. That's not the case, please. The action itself is the fruit. So the performance of action itself is the fruit of action. You have already got the fruit. What? By performing. Why do you perform the action? Because the mind has come to the restless state. From a restful state, because of the presence of something, X factor, the restful mind has become restless now. The restless state, I don't want to continue. So by doing something, I will get back to the restful state. That's why after he smokes, he feels what? Relaxed. Just the act of smoking is the end in itself. Why? Because the thought of cigarette created mental disturbance. Smoking ceases that mental disturbance. Therefore, action itself becomes what? Is the fruit of action. On top of that, you are expecting something from that action means what? How stupid you must be. Now you go back to that basic idea which says, you have right over action, not over the fruit. Correct? No. What more you want? It's like you feel itching, you scratch. That's why sometimes, you ask another person to scratch. You'll never be happy. Sometimes, Gomukasana, that's where it helps. Why do you practice Gomukasana?
To scratch.
You can reach, to scratch. Otherwise, you can't reach there. You should be able to reach that spot. Tell that person left, right, 45 degrees, 47 degrees, North Pole, South Pole. Very difficult. But when you scratch, you feel what? Pleasure. Scratching itself is pleasure. What the Veda says, he says, is all actions are what? Scratching. I'm studying, sir, scratching. I'm talking, scratching. I work, scratching. Earn, scratching. Family, scratching. Everything is what? What causes that itching is the equation. Don't say thought itself. So there is an important element between thought and desire and action. So in the chronology, we don't refer to all these things. We say fill in the blanks. You got to fill it. They don't explain all this. Let's say you go for tuition. Why do you go for tuition? Same teacher. In school, they don't teach all that. In tuition, they teach. Tuition master is different. School teacher is different. Sunday morning class is what? Tuition class. You go to Krishna, he will not talk all this. Forget it. He'll simply say, why keep that tree, man? Cut it. Simply cut that tree. What a stand, This. Says, the roots stretch below. He said there is a root which is going above and there is a root which is stretching below. Like this banyan tree maybe. It will be hanging, it will come down, 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 down. And then it goes and hits the earth. Then what happens? That becomes a root again. That's how the tree, keeps growing. Becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So after a point, you will not know which is the main one. First one is what we don't know. That's how samsara, he says. It's stretching. It's huge tree, big tree, he said. What is huge tree? You don't know. It stretches so big. That's how this Ashwatha tree is, where they keep those horses, they come and go for battle. They keep all the horses in one place. That's Ashwatha tree. That's how they got the tree name. He says these actions binding men in the world. Why that bondage comes is because of the restlessness. And what Vedanta proposes is, I will teach you a method through which you can put that mind back to rest without action. Without scratching, you can. What do you have to do? Itch God. Vedanta is each God. Vedanta. Just apply that and forget it. Learn Vedanta, forget it. What will happen? You have to keep scratching after it. That is the knowledge. That is what Vedas teach, he said. That's why the one who understands this becomes Vedavit. How he becomes a Vedavit? Because he understands the signs of action. What is the reason behind action? We all think it is the fruit of action that is motivating us to perform action. Upon investigation, we figure out that it is not the fruit that is driving us, it is the mind's restlessness. Mind's restlessness is the cause of action. Why unnecessarily you make your mind restless and then perform action, and the moment you execute action, you are bound to receive the consequences of action. You can't escape. After that, you can't escape. It's like this, the train can move anywhere. Anywhere you can. But the moment you have put the rails, then the train has no choice but to move along the rails only. It has no choice. But in which direction you have to put the rails is there. But once you have executed the track, you can put the track anywhere, no? We know not this. Then suddenly they say this comes. Then they say what? All this property should go away. All these things. You acquire those land, the sites. Suddenly we see, the road has expanded. Now what? How suddenly road can become bigger? That means what? Along the side, they have taken over. But once you have placed the rails, after that what? The train has to move along that alone. There's no choice. Once you have performed action, you can't escape from the consequences. After that, you can't. Now, what is the consequence? All those things are all. It's a very simple philosophy. At least by now you should be familiar with all those things. Once action is done, every action will have the consequence. Consequence of action is what? Either you will get punya or you get papa. That's all. Either you will have punya or papa, merit or demerit. If it is unselfish action, punya. Selfish action, papa. That's all. Now, how do you escape from that? The escape route is what is referred to as selfless action, where the thought will be there. The thought need not be transferred into a desire and then action. So instead of taking the direction of vasana, thought, desire, restlessness, action. Right? I'm just referring only to this portion. Desire to action. Thought to desire, vasana to thought is not the purview of the verse now. Then we'll be going beyond the context. In the context, we have to stretch. Within the context, we should be able to expand. Out of context expansion, there's no that's vomiting, not thinking. So right now, where we focus is only thought, desire, action. Now we said between desire and action, there is an important element called restlessness. Now we say, is action possible bypassing restlessness? Right. Bypassing restlessness, can I perform action? Then that action should be very different from this. You're all following? So, from a thought becomes a desire. The moment desire comes, restlessness comes. To handle the restlessness, I perform action. Again, I come back to restful state. But the problem is what? Before I could complete this action, another desire has come. Because it's happening with such rapid speed, we are constantly moving from one action to another action to another action to another action, where we are not able to recognize the interval. It's like the swiftness with which you shift the gear while driving. Every time you shift the gear, you are passing through neutral, isn't it? Every time you shift the gear, you have to touch, but you don't stay there even for a fraction. Bypass. Similarly, the restlessness created, action executed. After action executed, there has to be restfulness. The problem is that we are not experiencing the restfulness at all. Why? Is because before you complete this action, another desire has come. Another desire has come. Another desire has come. So constantly what you have to be doing, sir, keep moving from action to action to action to action to action, and you get so tired and so exhausted. What do you do? When you get tired, what do you do? Sleep. Really, you got philosophical. When you get tired, what do you do? Not sleep. Why? So exhausted. Obviously, that's called a tamas. You see that? When you become too rajasic, what will happen? Action, 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 action. This one, that one, that one, this one, all these things. Then what happens? Now Sunday evening, how was it? Sleeping. You slept Sunday? Last week. Had a good sleep, no? Last Sunday. She had a very good sleep. So doing this one, go. That's why I always tell people, you should visit marriage, family next day. You should go to their house to wish, next day, just to irritate them. Because they are so tired, That's the time you go and ask, how was it, this one, that one? Ask a question, they'll get so bugged. Why? How is it that your rest quality is superior there? Why your sleep is better? Because you were so active. So much of rajas when you have, automatic system is what? You can't sustain rajas for a longer period of time. Auto shutdown. That's called a sleep. Inaction is what? Tamasic. Tamas. So he says, this root stretch below as actions. The secondary roots. The primary root is above. Remember, that he had explained in the previous verse. The primary root is above. This root is below. And beautifully he distinguishes those two things just by stating root and roots. Singular, plural. Verse 1, root, singular. Verse 2, plural. Roots. Even this, they are very, very particular about all these things. Here also, if he says root problem, there he says roots problem. So the root which is above is singular root. Below it is plural. It is. The roots stretch below. Which roots, sir? And it's all nourished by the gunas, qualities. What qualities? Sir, what about sattva? Sattva also, sir? Yes. Sattva is also included as below. Why? You can say somebody is sattvic only with reference to rajas and tamas. Imagine there is no rajas or tamas. How will you say? Yeah, he's a very good man. To claim somebody good, there has to be a reference point of bad, no? Isn't it? What is it that you are going to keep as a reference point for bad defines how refined your goodness is. So there was a time once, in the movies you will see someone smoking means who is he? Only villain will smoke. Heroes don't smoke. You know that. Heroes don't smoke. Hero will be what? Teetotaler. You will not. And then we started saying, well, just because a person smokes doesn't mean he is bad. Just because he murders somebody doesn't mean he is bad. KGF. How many fellows he killed? Sir, all those people he killed is bad. From whose angle? Whose angle? It's very beautifully this fellow does. Jackie Chan. In all his movies, he never kills anyone. You know that. He fights everybody, but he will not kill. By accidentally they die. That's all it is. If anything happens, it's because of accidental one. It's amazing hero he is. That's why I really like that fellow. Just for this reason. What is it that you're going to keep as a reference point? The reference point for us to define goodness is always what we consider as bad. So today, what we consider as bad, see the standard. Smoking is not bad. Drinking is not bad. Even, little bit of weed is also okay, sir. Know that, no? There are some countries where they say you can grow in your, like we have tulsi. We have tulsi, in the house. These people have that. They are allowed. You can have for your own usage. You can make. Only thing is, you should not sell in the market. That's all it is. When everybody has in the courtyard, why will you sell? Nothing wrong in that. What's wrong in that? In fact, those who drink are very innocent, Innocent people drink. Good people drink. That's why he says all gunas are the nourishment for the sustenance of the tree of samsara. The tree of samsara is sustained. How? By the presence of these gunas. The feeder is the gunas. So this rajas and the tamas moves in one direction. What is the direction, sir? Presence of desire causes restlessness. Action subsides the restlessness. Therefore, action binds. Because after performing the action, you can't escape from the consequences. Then why do you do the action? So are we to stop all actions? Say, no, no, it's not stoppage of action, please. The action needs to be coming from a totally different direction, a totally different way of doing it. That's what he is doing from verse 3. Verse 1 and 2 is the description of samsara. 3, 4, he says what you do with the tree now. What to do with the tree is the idea now. Next. Verse 3.
न रूपमस्येह ततोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा न रूपमस्येह ततोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा.
Its form is not perceived here as such. Neither its end, nor origin, nor clear foundation. Having cut asunder this firmly rooted Ashwatha, giant fig tree, with the strong acts of non-attachment. Chitwa means cut. Cut this. Its form is not perceived here as such. Its form means the tree's form. He gave the picture of tree and then he says it's not perceived. Contradiction. Neither its end nor origin. Beginning or end. That's what it means. You don't see the beginning of the tree or end of the tree. Nor clear foundation. The root cause. There's no clarity with reference to the root of it. However, even though you are not able to perceive the tree clearly, you don't understand the origin, you don't understand the end, nor you understand the foundation, still what you have to do? Cut the tree. You can't see the tree. How will you cut the tree? If we say, I am not able to see the tree, it's okay. He himself says, its form is not seen. You can't see it clearly here, you can't see that clearly. Then what you have to do? Cut the tree. Cut the tree of samsara. How to cut the tree, sir? To cut a tree, you need an axe. No? You need an axe to cut the tree. See, remember, Krishna is speaking about cutting a tree when? 5,000 years back. Okay. So you have to, with the axe, you have to cut the tree. How long you have to keep cutting? You don't have this modern equipments. It's a matter of, 20 seconds you can chop it off. Yeah, goes, that's all. This side 2, that side 1, this side 1, he says, and then automatically falls. It's amazing how these people, invented machines. It took, about hundreds of years, 50, 60 years old tree. Average, I'm saying. And there are trees. He has 200-year-old trees. Just cut. So amazing. How old is not the point. The moment you say tree, it is there, you can cut it. It's possible to cut the tree. That's all it is. How long it will take for you to cut the tree is a different thing. If you have a disease, how long you have disease is not the point. Take the medicine. The problem, you know what? Is we will come, you go to the doctor says, take the medicine. How do you take the medicines? Mix it with honey and have. You give. I'm a Jain. I don't take honey. Okay, mix it with milk and have. Milk also not. Not allowed. Okay, mix it with water and have, no. And the fellow goes, takes, and problem solved. That's what the Vedas teach. What is that they say? They say that you have to take the medicine with what? With honey you can mix and have, with milk you can mix and have, with water you can mix and have, doesn't matter. Have. And Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. The Vedas teaches this method of what? Mix that and give. Krishna says what? Take the medicine directly. That's the difference. Remember, the first verse he said no earlier. The Vedas. Vedas is also included there in the earlier verse somewhere. Whose leaves were the hymns of Vedas. He compared to the leaves to the Vedic hymns. Now, why he said that there? Is because of this. The medicine is given by the Vedas is mixed one. Mixed with it. But remember, the problem we are having is that you are taking honey, you are taking milk, you are taking water, you have forgotten to add the medicine. Medicine you have forgotten. And Krishna says in the third verse what? Ashanga sastrena dridena chittva. With the drida chitta, with that vairagya, with that non-attachment, cut. So the medicine is what? Medicine is non-attachment. But non-attachment should be mixed and given. That's where Vedas are far more practical. That's far more realistic there. They know you can't take that medicine directly. Everyone can't take the medicine directly. It's bitter. A bitter medicine can't be consumed straight. So what to do then? Sugar coat it. You have to coat it and give. The tragedy is we are licking the sugar. The moment medicine comes, you throw. You just take those things actually. The disease is what? The disease is samsara. Samsara is the disease. Samsara means what? Samsara means the insecurity that you are experiencing, the agitations that you experience, the sorrow that you experience, the suffering, the misery, the disturbance. That's called samsara. We think samsara means, wife. Wife is not samsara, please. Which means all wives are realized souls. Why? They don't have wife now. See, there's an Ayyappan temple, very interesting one. This Ayyappan temple, the deity was, very peculiar. All the deities will be different. They'll be carrying something or the other. They'll show some mudra and all these things. Usually it will be either, Abhayahasta or Vardahasta. If it is standing like this means it is Vardahasta. If it is standing like this means Abhayahasta. That's all it is. I'm there, don't worry. This one. This means giving. Whatever you want to ask, man, I'll give. You see, so you go and ask. So depend, you have to go to the deity and ask properly. You go and see which mudra the deity has. Ayyappan temple, you go. Ayyappa usually will be sitting in a yogic posture where he is doing tapas, meditation. He is in the meditative posture. Why do you disturb him? Shut up. Quietly go see him and come back. Don't ask anything. Yeah. So many temples are there. In one temple, that deity was standing in a very peculiar posture. Like Hanuman is the only god you will find standing in that Anjali Mudra. It's called Anjali Mudra. Only god. You will not find any other god standing with this mudra. You know. Now this Ayyappan temple is a very peculiar one where this fellow is sitting with a index finger on his nose. See what yoga pranayama that is. He's a yoga master. He is. Ayyappa is considered to be the greatest yogi he is. Even superior to Adi Yogi. He's a real yoga master. But this mudra nobody has decoded. They searched this scripture, that scripture, they found nowhere there is an explanation. Then that the priests, the chief priest got a dream. He says, "Don't worry, there will be one master who will come. He will come and explain this. Then the hand will get removed and he'll go back to his original posture of sitting like this." They were waiting. Centuries passed, nobody came. So one day this master was passing by. A great, saint. Appaya Dikshitar was his name. A great Advaiti. Appaya Dikshitar. He's passing by. And they told, why don't you have darshan of this one? So he comes there, he sees. It's a very peculiar deity there. You should see. He said, okay, I'll come. He went there, he saw the deity. And he was stunned. He said, so they thought, he's a great master. Maybe if he can explain. Then he gave one song where he gives an explanation for that. What is his problem? See, Lord Ayyappa, he is under confusion. He's thinking actually. What he's doing, right? He's thinking. What is going on? What's his confusion? The confusion for him is when he goes to Kailash. Kailasa, when he goes, original Kailash. No, this is a problem now. Shiva support. Right? Kailash, he goes, he has no problem. Why? Because he sees his father, Shiva is there. His wife, Parvati is there. He will call Shiva father, his wife, mother. From there he goes to Vaikuntha. Who's there? Vishnu. Who is his mother? Right? Mother. Now, he will call Vishnu mother. Mahalakshmi, what he will call? Mother's wife. There's no such thing called a relationship, you see. Mother's wife, there's no such thing. Who is a mother's wife? How can there be a mother's wife? So, Lord Ayyappa's confusion is what? What to call Mahalakshmi now? How to address her? The story goes that the hand moved back to original position. Exactly, this is father, mother confusion. Lord Ayyappa is also under confusion only. you cut the tree. With what you have to cut the tree? With this Drida Chitta, with this detachment, with this Vairagya, you have to cut the tree. The disease is what? The tree is what? The tree of samsara. Samsara is not. The samsara is what? Samsara is your imagination born of ignorance. That's called the samsara. Remember, samsara is not wife. He'll go and come back. Okay. He was under tremendous tension. Very suddenly he went off. He'll come back. I'll come back. He's having a doubt. Oh, he must have forgotten. Samsara, man. What is samsara? It's a terrestrial existence. Terrestrial existence is not, please. These are all theoretical, ideas. But in reality, what is actually happening? It is just an imagination born of ignorance is called the samsara. So that samsara you have to cut. Means what you need to cut? That imagination. If it is imagination, the problem is what? Even though the samsara is imaginary, the suffering is not imaginary. Remember. You see, the fear is not imaginary. The snake is imaginary. Imaginary snake only. The snake has come out of your imagination. That imagination has come out because of your ignorance of the rope. Isn't it? When you don't see the rope as rope, you imagine that to be a snake. That imaginary snake had triggered fear. So what is your samsara? Ignorance of rope, snake, fear. Your samsara is not ignorance of rope. Your samsara is not that imaginary snake. Your samsara, what you experience is the fear. And that fear is real. The tragedy is, if you go to the root of that fear, what you will find? You can never find what is the foundation. Because foundation is what? Imagination. Imagination is done by whom? You. You imagine and then you get scared. I told you about this fellow who got the snake. Huh? You bought a snake from China? I told you guys, right? No, not here, is it? Oh, see. Some other class I was explaining. They're there in the class now. Only confusion. As though you're doing, 70, 80 classes. Only 2 classes. I think we don't know what we are speaking where. One fellow, Chennai, this guy went to China some years back, not now, sometimes back. He went to China first time. I think early 2010 or 8, 10, something like that. When we had problem here, 2008 we had one recession here. And, just after that, we went there. There was a big this one, China. So had some good deals and business and all that happened, and then he came back. Well, coming back, the fellow bought one snake, toy snake, 12 feet. 12 feet toy snake. And the problem for him was he got that snake, but then he didn't know where to keep it in the house. Right? They have a duplex house. The fellow kept that snake along the steps. And if you go first time to the house, I saw that. You will genuinely think it's a snake. Amazing, the toy. Right? You will not believe the shine. You will not see that as toy. Impossible. You will think real snake is there. That fellow kept it, and his wife was very angry. She's irritating. This is, take it out, take it out. No, he says, he's talking Vedanta to her. Every time I see, I'm reminded of rope and snake example. World is illusion. That lady was so angry. When I went to Chennai, they called me to the house, not to show the snake only, not for anything else. They got something new. They wanted to show you. So he thought I'll get scared. I didn't get scared. Not because objective and wife has already told me. She already told me this. This fellow bought one snake, idiot, and this. So the moment I entered, I saw that. I saw that, and I asked, from where you got this? Oh, you recognized it. You are so happy, first. Oh, you recognized it. Said you have something new, you should ask. When you go to somebody's house, when they see something new there, you should ask that. Oh, this looks new. Huh? No, this is 17 years old. Wow. You're maintaining it so well, man. Maintaining your car so nicely. Why, you're not using only. So I asked. This wife, she got so annoyed with me also. Because she thought I will tell him, to take it out. I'm also appreciating it. But then dinner only she has to serve. No, my problem is that. I said, okay, tell me honestly, how many times you got scared of that snake? He said. He bought that snake. Who bought the snake? This fellow. Who kept it? Himself. That fellow, shapeless guy, at least honestly he spoke. That way you got to appreciate. He says, sir, to be honest, 3-4 times I myself got scared. You get scared. The toy snake which you bought, which you placed. Samsar. Rope and snake, I'll never forget this fellow. So, I've not told you guys, is it? This one. Oh, I see. It's telling somebody, I don't remember whom I was telling the story. This fellow, amazing guy. He brings it. You will not feel the snake is not the problem for you. The disease is not the problem for us. It's the symptom that's the problem. So any patient goes to the doctor, they go to the doctor with the symptoms only. They don't go to the doctor with the disease. They don't know what disease they don't know, but they experience the symptom. That's samsara. The samsara is experiencing that fear. So you see your own kurta sometimes, hanging. In the academy, it used to happen. Nowadays it is not. When I was studying, those days, there's no door. Cupboard will be there, just, a place to hang things. That's about it. There's no door for that. Now they have put doors and all that because of us only. Our own kurta will be hanging there. Looking at that, we'll get scared sometimes. A ghost. White kurta, we keep the, doors open. And, not like, nowadays, those days, by 10 o'clock, we switch off all the lights, even the street lights and all these things, we have. Everything will be off. No lights will be on. And there's nothing. No other, street lights and all this is there now. All, very, set there. Now, those days, nothing of those things. So hardly any light will be there. So only the moonlight has to somehow come into the room. Sometimes, we keep for gross ventilation, no fan. So gross ventilation, we keep the balcony door open and the room door also open. So we get the gross ventilation. So the breeze will come. In the breeze, our kurta will be hanging there and waiting. We get scared. Unbelievable. Your own kurta, now you tell me, ghost came from where? Is it in the kurta? Is it in the darkness? Ghost is ghost. So what to do now? I want to chase the ghost now. So what to do? So one man comes, says, apply this vibhuti. This is from special puja has been done. With that I have got this vibhuti, apply that and sleep. No ghost will come. Very logical we think. Another man comes and says, tie this red color rope in a hand. This is with the talisman, comes this fellow. Another fellow comes and says, which direction you are sleeping? Facing, east. No. Face towards the south. Keep your head to the south and sleep. No ghost will come. All these fellows will look very logical. Suddenly one fellow will come and say, switch on the light. What? Switch on the light. Switch on the light, man, that's all. How to chase the ghost away? Now, switch on the light. Now, what is the connection? At least, see, logically, if you think, the first three fellows were speaking about the problem. Ghost is coming because of these things. This will protect you from the ghost. This will chase the ghost away. Something like that they are speaking. This fellow is not talking about the ghost at all, actually. I don't have the problem of darkness is not the problem for me. My problem is the ghost. Now suddenly this fellow comes and says, no, don't worry about all that. Switch on the light. At least chase the darkness also is not saying. You see that? He is completely ignoring the ghost. He is ignoring the kurta. He is ignoring the darkness. All that he is ignoring. He says, do something with reference to light. Switch on the light. It will not look logical, actually speaking. Because he is speaking something which is unconnected. So what happens here is, the solution is where? Switch on the light. When you switch on the light, what goes? Darkness goes. Ghost? Ghost never existed. What existed?
False imagination.
Kurta. False imagination. Kurta was there. Correct. Kurta existed. Ghost was never there. It is not that once the light is switched on, the ghost ran away. The ghost never arrived for it to run away first of all. This is the medicine. Right? Without mixing this medicine, you keep taking honey, water, milk, all these things you mix, nothing happens. That's why I keep doing this. I visit this temple, I visit that temple, I do this, I do that, I attend this lecture, I attend that lecture, I read this, I read that. Nothing is happening. I've been attending your class. That's why when somebody says, I've been attending this class for a long time, I really get scared. Because they will judge me based on So long you say you're attending these classes, nothing seems to be happening. Obviously, you go on drinking milk, you're not taking medicine. Will the disease go? Adana he says, Asanga sastrena dridena chitva. Cut this tree. With what? With the acts of non-attachment. The acts of non-attachment cut the tree. That's the difference. Veda says gradually do it. So what you do? Don't take that medicine directly. You can't take it. So what to do, sir? Mix it. Mix that medicine with this, prescribed practices. Practice karma yoga, practice bhakti yoga, practice jnana yoga. All these things. Why? Because your samsara comes as what? Your ignorance expresses at thought level, emotion level, action, physical. So it says you mix with these things and take. Nothing happens actually. That's what the idea is. But people like Krishna, Ramana, Ashtavakra, all these people, they don't waste your time, all these things. Take the medicine direct. Forget about water, forget about honey, forget about all this. Take the medicine straight. Take it directly and be done with it. But we cannot take that thing straight away. That's the issue here. That's why he says, first thing you need to do is what? You understand that it has no origin. You can't identify the starting point. At what time the time started? What's the answer you will give? From where the space started? The starting point of space started from Bangalore. It started from Earth, started from Sun. It started from where? We don't know. And every cause is preceded, succeeded by the effect, and every effect, cause. Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. It goes on and on and on. What is the first cause? If you say this is the first cause, then that first cause should not have a cause. Can there be something? I had a father, father had a father, father had a father, father had a father. Who's the first father? If you say somebody has the first father, that father should not have a father. How can someone exist without first father? But without first father, second father not possible, third father not possible, fourth father not possible, grandfather not possible, my father not possible, I am not possible. I am there. So which means what? Father, 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 father. Go backwards. Go forward also. Tree, seed, tree, seed, tree, seed, tree, seed. Backwards and forwards you can go. You will never be able to identify what is the starting point of it or the end point of it. Don't you know, sir? Noah brought all these people. From where he got the two first? Where he got the two? That also very clear. One male, one female. How? Which means it existed before. Now my question is, from where those two came? Earth came from sun, okay. From where the sun came from this, and then that came from black hole. From where the black hole came? Big Bang, sir. A small thing burst. That's the one we are experiencing. My question is, from where the dot came? After that, I can understand. Grandfather, father, me, I can understand. My question is, from where grandfather came? A great grandfather. Great grandfather came? Adala, we don't know. Somebody must have been there. For that something we gave a name. Each one gave their own names. Science gave it a name, a dot. Philosophy gave it a name, God. No difference. But both are what? Presumptions, hypothesis. We don't have the facts being verified. From where that came, that existed, correct. Oh, that is always there. Something which is always existing, we can't understand. See, it is not possible. So we say, world is what? Time, space, causation. Time is eternal, space is all pervading, causation is infinite. Eternal, all pervading, infinite. You can never understand. It will just stand as a word, that's it. It will just stand as a word, that's it. You will never be able to figure out what is it. Eternal means what? Eternal. Always there. Something which is existing all the time is called eternal. Dictionary will say that. What is it? What's the meaning of that, sir? Your mind can never capture, and that's what he says. You will never be able to identify the origin of it. You will never be able to identify the end of it. You will never do all these things, he says. Origin means the birth of it. What date the tree was born, you'll never know. The birthday. End means the death. The birth of samsara you don't know. The death of samsara you don't know. The form means the existence. Existence of it. All these three you can't understand. You don't understand the origin, you don't understand the end, you don't understand the form. Its form is not perceived here. The form you don't understand. Form is the presence of it. So one is the birth, then the presence, and the death. So birth, existence, death. Creation, maintenance, destruction. All three you don't understand. Why you are not able to understand all three? Because you don't know the foundation. The foundation is what? The root. There are two roots. Primary root, the secondary root. You don't understand both. You don't understand Brahman, you don't understand ignorance. Brahman you don't understand, avidya you don't understand. Those two things were the foundation. Since you don't understand the foundation, you don't understand the tree also. The root if you cannot understand, how can you understand the tree? And there are two roots, he said. One is the primary root, which is Brahman. Another is many, which is what? Vasanas. Or we say avidya, ignorance. Another word. Both you don't understand. So the world that we are experiencing, the samsara that is experienced is an expression of that ignorance. So if you have to cut this tree of samsara, you have to cut that ignorance. How do you cut that ignorance? To cut it, you need some equipment. What is the equipment you have to use? It says, use this vairagya, dridhachitta. By this strong, dridha means solid. Solid. You can't use a blade to cut the tree. Won't work. You need a strong axe. Use that powerful axe. What is the axe you have to use? It says non-attachment. Use the axe you have to use to cut this tree. See you next class.